Greetings, citizens, and thanks for tuning in to Nindy Nation episode 191. I'm Jeff, and we've got quite the wide variety of new releases to check out this week, all of which are coming to the eShop through September 24th. Be sure to click like and subscribe if you enjoy these weekly dives into everything independently developed for the Nintendo Switch, and don't forget to swing by our Discord if you happen to need some more internet buddies. Now, as you know, last week there was a Nintendo Direct, and we got a couple of nice Nindy surprises. So before we dive into all of the new notable Nindies, let's kick off episode 191 of Nindy Nation by taking a look at the 2 Nintendo Direct Shadow Drop Nindies that released since episode 190. I was absolutely thrilled to see that not only was Trombone Champ coming to the Switch, but that it's already out, and matching the Steam price of $14.99. Trombone Champ, developed in New York by Holy Wow Studios, was a breakout hit when it released late last year, and if you look up any Let's Play videos online, you'll see exactly why. It's hilarious. Set up like any other rhythm game, your song selection is predominantly comprised of royalty-free music, like the Star-Spangled Banner, Happy Birthday, and the William Tell Overture, but that's not the draw here. Rather, the appeal of Trombone Champ is how ridiculous it is. With a bunch of characters clearly inspired by Nintendo's own Miis, you have a couple of control options, and all of them are a pain in the ass. So as you play through the songs, trying to match the pitch and tone of each note, you're watching overly enthusiastic trombone players fail their way through a tune, expressing every success and failure along the way. Now, if anything that I just said, or if anything that's on screen sounds or looks like fun, or you generally enjoy games that are meant to make a room full of people crack up, definitely consider picking this one up. The other Shadow Drop was Horizon Chase 2, the sequel to Horizon Chase Turbo, which happens to be one of the best arcade racers of the last decade, developed by Brazilian-based Aquiris Games Studio. Built on the framework of games like Outrun and Top Gear, it plays like a dream and features a bevy of modes and difficulty options, so anyone can have a great time with it. Each race has multiple objectives, like collecting coins on the road, saving your boosts, avoiding collisions, and of course, finishing in first place. And as you complete these objectives, you earn currency to upgrade your vehicle. Horizon is all about capturing that 90s arcade racer feel, and with the sequel, Aquiris relied less on their inspirations and focused more on building a style that's distinctively Horizon Chase. So not only are the low-poly levels a bit more detailed this time around, every aspect of the game is fleshed out, with more online modes, and more vehicles, and more customization options. This game was exclusive to Apple Arcade over the past year, and I played all the way through it on my Mac, where I found it to be every bit as good as the original, so I can wholeheartedly recommend this latest entry. And if you happen to need any more reasons to pick this game up while it's 20% off for $19.99, the legendary Barry Leach returns as the composer, and this soundtrack is fire.
That's what the kids say, right?
We also got the announcement of last summer's Smash PC hit Dave the Diver on its way, as well as some DLC for Eastward, and all of it served as a reminder that this has truly been one of the best years for gaming yet. But we've got more to touch on this week, so without further ado, these are the 11 new notable Nindies hitting the Nintendo Switch through Sunday, September 24th. On September 18th, the week gets started with the video game adaptation of the popular tabletop RPG Gloomhaven. It's developed by Flaming Fowl Studios, which was founded by most of the team from Lionhead Studios after Microsoft shut them down. And their previous work on titles like Catan and other tabletop games has been very well received. I personally haven't played Gloomhaven in any format, but my tabletop nerd friends all love it. So if you're like them, given the developer's track record, it's probably a safe assumption that this would be $40 well spent. And then, on Tuesday the 19th, in addition to it being the phrase I mutter under my breath whenever my wife is driving, You Suck at Parking releases for $19.99.
Please don't tell her I said that.
This game is like a mix between a top-down racer and, of course, a
zany multiplayer party game with a gimmick!
where that gimmick is parking. Actually, the focus here is on the single-player mode, where you're racing through ridiculous obstacle courses to reach the parking spot as quickly as possible. But for most people, the draw will be competing on the leaderboards or playing with friends. As you can see, the levels get progressively weirder, requiring you to jump ramps or avoid a gauntlet of traps, but the end goal is the same. The first one to reach the parking spot wins, with bonus points for doing it in style. After releasing on Game Pass last year, it saw positive reviews in the upper 70s, lower 80s, and there's no reason to expect any less on the Switch. Moving on to the big Thursday drop, Cloud's Play Company is porting their previously Japan-only Q-em-up
Oshaberi, Horijo, Gekihori, Anya Holinsky saves the universe, alright?
It's a cute bullet hell shoot-em-up, otherwise known as a Q-em-up, and it looks pretty fun. I can't tell what the hell is going on here, but it's got co-op, 2 story campaigns, and this version will include the 2019 Japanese release, plus all of the DLC. There's a demo available if you want to try to make sense of all of this, and it launches with a 20% discount for $13.49. Pretty good price for what looks like a lot of content. The description does warn that the main character never shuts up, but that you can turn her talking off in the option menu. So there's that, I guess. I'm also on the fence with this next one, called Paperman Adventure Delivered by Secret Item Games. It's definitely a 3D collectathon mascot platformer, and it's definitely got that indie flair to it. I just can't tell if it's janky cute or clever cute. Almost every article I read mentioned similarities to SpongeBob's Battle for Bikini Bottom, and people seem to like that game for a lot of the same reasons they might enjoy this one. It's published by Mindscape, who I think is charging a bit too much at $29.99, but if it reviews well, this quest about stealing golden letters from a magical dragon might be a good time for collectathon platformer fans, especially once it gets a bit of a discount. Over the past couple of years, we've seen Atari release spruced-up versions of many of their classic games. Development has been largely split between Adam Nickerson, with the other half by SneakyBox. And this week, SneakyBox's partnership with Atari brings us the console port of their first mobile outing, as Days of Doom is a tactical strategy game with procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements! Well, it is an RPG through and through, but the couple aspects it brings that we don't always see in these Fire Emblem-like releases include a post-apocalyptic setting, a focus on their cast of heroes, and roguelike progression that ensures a different experience every time you play. It seems like a solid entry, but if you're interested, I'd suggest putting it on your wish list, because $30 is way too much for a title in this crowded of a genre. As such, if you happen to be looking for a more colorful take on the strategy RPG that is much more traditional in its approach, apparently Warriors of the Nile 2 is worth considering. I was initially so turned off by the mobile-esque art style, I wasn't gonna include it in this week's video, but when looking into the game further, I found a lot of positive reviews. Stove Studio saw similar reception with the first game in their series, but has now applied player feedback to make progression more streamlined and the combat much quicker. Otherwise, the description is almost identical to Days of Doom, but with Egyptian gods fighting the Romans. And it's half price at $14.99. That also means that Warriors of the Nile 2 is a strategy game with procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements! Which one of these looks better to you? Last week, I was trying to figure out just what to expect with Super Adventure Hand, and if you're in the same boat, there's a demo on the eShop, so probably start there. It's a clever take on the 3D platformer that goes all in on hand-based puns. Seriously, you'd think Devim Games got halfway through development, couldn't figure out what type of main character to use, then put in a sentient hand as a joke, loved it, and just ran with it. The teams previously only worked on mobile ports or as a support studio, so they are a bit of an unknown quantity, but this first solo outing looks like a lot of fun. Being a hand, you attack by flicking your fingers, climb and platform as if you were Thang from the Addams Family, and your equipment includes bracelets, rings, and that sort of stuff. The story is similarly silly, as you wake up missing your arm, then assume it was the work of evil feet, so you set out for revenge across 50 stages that employ gimmicks and design from a large swath of 3D platformers. There's a lot to like here if you're interested in a funny approach to a genre that's full of stale ideas. And with the full price being only $12.99, I'd recommend at least checking out the demo. And this week's winner for the game that I was pleasantly surprised by is Evil Wizard by Nindy newcomer Rubber Duck Games. It's an isometric action RPG where you play as a former final boss seeking revenge against the heroes who thwarted his evil plans. It's built structurally as a Metroidvania, so you'll be exploring a variety of areas, learning new abilities, and tackling a few puzzles here and there as you seek to reclaim your castle. Reception has also been very positive for this one since its release on Xbox and PC back in May, with most reviews calling out a genuinely funny story and a rewarding experience with great pacing. Evil Wizard's the game that I'm going to be picking up this week, so let me know if you are as well because it launches with a 20% discount for $15.99. I also mentioned Kind Heart Defenders at the end of last week's episode, and was immediately drawn to its $4 asking price. It sits somewhere between a top-down space shooter and a tower defense game, which is a combination I don't think we've seen before. But it does look like the gameplay for each aspect is pretty typical fare, so I'm hoping the combination delivers something a bit more unique. The description is quite hyperbolic, which is fine, they should definitely be hyping up their game, but I did have a chuckle when I read,
Kind Heart Defenders is far from an ordinary game. It's an enchanting voyage through awe-inspiring landscapes and a symphony of immersive soundscapes that make every moment resonate.
Those are pretty big claims for a $4 game, and while it released to positive reviews on Steam last December, there's otherwise very little coverage to go off of. Thankfully though, its asking price makes it a much easier game to take a chance on, so if tower defense crossed with a shmup sounds like a good time to you, let us know down in the comments how it is, and I'll pin that comment for others to see. Citizens know I'm not the biggest fan of point-and-click adventures, but for those who are, Whatever Land is definitely worth looking into. It's developed by Caligari Games, who previously released The Great Perhaps, and is published by Dragius Games for $14.99. After Vincent the Thief is caught stealing from a witch, he's banished to a parallel world called Whatever Land, and teams up with a ghost named Nick to help find his way out. Alongside the hand-drawn art style and a huge variety of gameplay types, Whatever Land is drenched in dry, sarcastic humor that has garnered very positive reviews on other platforms. The story has multiple endings and branching paths depending on if you want to continue being a sneaky smartass, or if you choose to make Vincent change his ways. If you're into this type of humor and have grown tired of tried-and-true point-and-click adventures, Whatever Land looks like a great option that could reignite your interest in the genre. And then last up this week is a game that was clearly made by a team who knew exactly what they wanted and built a game that trims out all the fat. Evolings is kinda hard to explain because of how simple it is, so in their own words,
This minimalistic turn-based roguelike lets you face hordes of evil monsters by recruiting a team of deadly yet cute creatures. With challenges and a unique experience in each playthrough, Evolings offers a captivating fusion of strategy and charm.
so, like, somewhere between a dungeon crawler, a turn-based RPG, and, Pokemon? It looks rad, and frankly, like it could be the perfect game for when you just want to go through a run but only have a few minutes to spare because it's so minimalistic, since you're just making decisions at almost every prompt. I love this idea, and while the team at Sorb only have one other Switch game under their belt, Super Cable Boy was well received. It's only $8.99, so I might be picking this one up as well, but if nothing else, it lets us round out the week by saying that Evolings is a minimalistic turn-based dungeon crawler with procedurally generated levels, roguelike mechanics, and RPG elements! So what do you think? Not nearly the lineup we had last week, but there's some great stuff here, and most of it is on the cheaper side. I'm all about Trombone Champ and Horizon Chase 2, but I'm also very interested in Super Adventure Hand, Evil Wizard, and Evolings. Sound off in the comments below and let me know what you're picking up, or swing by the Discord and see what everybody else is playing. Next week, we'll be skipping the regular episode because half of my family has a birthday to celebrate. But if you want to know what was going to be on my radar, Paleo Pines is a cozy ranching simulator about dinosaurs, Pizza Possum looks like a fun multiplayer game of hide-and-seek, and apparently Maniko's Night Market is finally releasing. But I'll believe it when I see it, because citizens, we're all done for this week. Thanks so much for watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing Nindy Nation with others. Until next time, I'm Jeff. This has been Nindy Nation episode 191. And remember, no matter what type of game you're looking for, Nindy Nation will be right here to help you find just the thing to keep your Joy-Cons synced.